For relaxing times, we know that it's Santori time.
Yo! Stand!
For relaxing times, make it Centauri time.
Cut!
But in troubling times, like the ones we're going through now, it calls for something greater. What we need is leadership. And where else do we go for leadership than the gaming community? Because when the people rise up, we need the gamers to rise up to squash the people, or at least control them, make sense of it all. So we got this YouTuber, he's probably a Twitcher as well, his name is Markiplier, never heard of him. He's new to the scene, 25,000 subs, you know, got a little fan base. He's gonna virtue signal something. He looks like Down syndrome Keanu. I will call him Down's Keanu. And apparently his eyeballs made a bet and said whoever gets to the nose first wins.
Today I'm going to be talking about a very serious subject that you probably already know about.
Erectile dysfunction.
A few days ago, a man by the name of George Floyd was murdered by a police officer while he was placed under arrest. The circumstances of his arrest are irrelevant. The man is dead.
Are you telling me that it's irrelevant that George Floyd did this porno?
Hey,
hey, Houston.
Time, man, we in here, man. This is what we do, man. You feel me? You gotta get it right. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah, man.
Look
One
at
day at a
this.
time with the lovely, super lovely.
What's your name, girl?
Kimberly Frank.
Sexy. Look at her.
For real, huh?
Yeah, no, I guess.
She been hearing it the whole life. I'm saying, ain't nothing new. What's your sign?
Cancer.
Cancer?
Sexy, ain't
Yeah, she is. She is. Absolutely, man. A dog. And she knows it.
Them lips. Look at them lips.
Cancer, though. Ooh.
Oh my God.
Cancer.
And this sort of situation disproportionately affects a certain percentage of the population. George Floyd was an African-American man. And there's a long, storied history of African-American men and women being murdered or abused while being placed under arrest.
Interesting. Long and storied. Well, if that story was 300 pages long, the white story is 600 pages long. So I guess the white history of cops killing white people is longer and storieder.
This has resulted in numerous demonstrations, protests, and riots that have occurred across the country and centralized in Minneapolis.
Is this guy auditioning for NPR?
And I think, I hate the term I think. The last thing I want to do is to try to inject my opinion into a situation that neither deserves it or needs it.
Why are you on YouTube? Why don't you get back to playing Minecraft? May I suggest finding diamonds and being careful of the lava?
But I think that this is a very human reaction to systemic injustice and racism.
What? Where's the evidence of that? Where is the evidence? Are we just in an evidence-free zone? When did we discard the need to provide evidence for a claim? So the logic is anything that happens to a black person is racist. A black person gets a parking ticket, it's racist. Someone calls the cops on blacks, has to be racism. I like how we skip over that part. That's taken as, oh yeah, we don't even need to go over the details, man. I'm already sure it was racism. Fuck off. We are living in the McCarthy era 2.0. But this time, instead of communism, it's racism. Everything is racist, it is airborne, it is a virus. Ironically, McCarthy would be having a field day today because there's communists everywhere.
That has been pervading our country for the past 50, 100, 200 years.
Oh, now I know why they call you multiplier. Or is it multiplex? Is it, I've forgotten the name. Multiplexifier? Sounds like a word Vosh would use.
This is a problem that is deeply rooted in our government and in our communities and in the systems that are supposed to help.
Right, it's the government's fault. I assume the white people in the government, so not the black police chief of Minneapolis. He's not part of the deeply rooted, storied history of racism. Tell me what you think.
Our fellow man, and it is a problem that needs to be rooted out at every turn. And it's always been a big point of mine to try to use my platform responsibly, to use my platform to steer people in the direction that I feel is right.
Your platform of under 25,000 subscribers? Shit. Give me a fucking break.
In this case, there is very little gray area to debate about. A man is dead as a result of police brutality.
Just point of order, you don't do videos on everyone who dies, right? See, because I think that would make this a relevant question. Why are you covering this case and not every other case? Is it because it's topical? Is it because the news media has blown this case up? It's clickbaity? Because last time I checked, and I think all you scrubs believe this, all life is created equal? Is that the phrase? No, all people are created. All man? No, that's too genderish. All men are created equal. That is, okay, well, right, we can all get behind that. All men are created equal, aside from testosterone levels, SAT scores, IQ scores, life expectancy, income, and probability of going to jail. Aside from all that, we're all dead equal. So wouldn't that make it likely that you would cover a case of a white person being shot by a black person? If you think that never happens, I would like to steer you, Downs Keanu, to this graph right here. Yeah, take a look. You know how you guys see a disparity in numbers and you knee-jerk a reaction of, that's racist? There's a disparity in this graph. And by the way, these are raw numbers. Okay? 63% of the country is us, the normal people. 13% of the country are the abnormal people, the minority, and yet they are way ahead of us when it comes to killing white people versus us killing them. So if you made this per capita, their line would be off the chart. But you're never going to cover this, Downs Keanu. Sorry, multiplixifier-nish? Multitudinal plexifier? So the question is why?
And there was no justice in his death. And
that doesn't make sense. There's never justice in a death. Give it a second, dude. I mean, he's been arrested. Jesus.
This happens over and over and over again.
People pick cherries over and over and over again. We have an epidemic of cherries.
And it's very easy to remove yourself from the situation, to think that it is so far removed from your life that it will never affect you. But this affects all of us.
Yeah, if you think that at some point in your life, you're not going to be a multiple-time felon with a long criminal history, a history in porno, abusing crack, and attempting to pass off a $10 Monopoly bill as a regular bill, and then resisting arrest, I mean, you're just naive, man.
This is something that is definitive of who we are as a people.
Wait, your people and my people are not the same people. I don't know. I don't know where you got that idea. No, this is not definitive of anything to do with me. Nice try on the gaslight, but that's just not going to work on me.
Who we will be for the future generations. I've always said that I want to leave the world a better place than I found it.
Oh, time out. Virtue. Get Richard Simmons in there. Gary? Gary? Gary, where are you?
Gary? 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 Gary, come in here. Gary, where are you?
Virtue, where are you? We found it. This is ground zero for virtue. Leaving the world a better place? Bravo, Downs Keanu.
When I'm gone, I want the future generations to be able to enjoy peace and prosperity. I want that. But right now, we need to fight these injustices at every turn.
We're going to fight them by breaking into a Waffle House and smashing shit and robbing ATMs. That's always been the way. Yeah, the injustice of what? The cop was arrested. Your thoughts and opinions on this issue are retarded. There is no injustice. Try again.
Because prejudice and injustice and racism runs very deep.
Okay, so the unspoken thing here is it's obviously racist that this guy died by the hands of a white man. So if it's a black man killing another black man, which I'm not sure if that happens, theoretically that might happen somewhere. You'd have to research it. I don't have the time for that, but if you did black man killing another black man, I don't know. I don't know what you'd find. All of that killing, not racist. All of the killing of white people by cops, just by cops, none of that is racism. We don't have to fight to stop any of that. In fact, we're not even going to mention it. And out of sight, out of mind, it's not part of this story. Sorry. But if your story is white people kill black people, that's racist, we must fight that, then I have terrible news for you. Once you're done with that little petty skirmish, you got a massive war to fight. And that is the war against black people killing white people in our country, which is an epidemic that you're never going to address because you have Down's syndrome. Getting hit up on the Discord?
And its roots are very thick, and if you don't cut it out, and if you don't stop it at every turn, it will always come back. And I think that the discontent is a result of that anger.
You think anger is the result of anger? Never thought of it that way.
Of the deep-seated anger, of continually and repeatedly being ignored.
Lean into that word, ignored.
Being ignored.
It's a word that might come back to haunt you because Markiplier. You're ignoring quite a number of things, and yet you're condemning others for ignoring this. If you didn't have Dunning-Kruger, you would have cognitive dissonance.
Martin Luther King once said that riots are the language of the unheard.
Well, I don't sprechen Sie riot or Deutsch. I sprechen law and order and craniums being cracked when you violate, break the law, and basically tear down our society. I speak that language. So use your big boy words, you freaks.
Which means that when people are ignored for so long, they only have so many options to express their rage.
And those options are robbing and setting fire to shit? No, not good enough. I don't defend or make excuses in any measure for anyone out there rioting. They are all thugs and criminals, and they should all be in a jail right now. Fuck all of them. How's that for moral clarity?
And if there are problems that continually crop up and lead to these situations where justice is not served, then we need to change the systems that allow that injustice to happen in the first place.
Okay, champ, you talk about justice being served. Who is the decider of what justice is? Is it your opinion versus mine? Is it he said, he said? Well, we have a thing called the justice system, and we have courts and judges and juries. They have a say in this. So don't just throw out this thing of, there's a thing called injustice, I'll tell you what it looks like. You just made this entire virtue signaling speech about the fact that a cop who is arrested and will go to trial, that is some kind of injustice. We haven't even had a chance to have a trial. You do believe in trials, yes? Or are you more of like a witch hunt, lynch mob type of dude?
And that is a long process that needs continual pressure and constant support and constant vigilance. I hope that we can live in a world where racism and prejudice are in the past, but the realist in me knows that we need to fight it at every turn, and we need to confront it, and we need to challenge it, and we need to defeat it.
Defeat racism, guys. Racism bad. Yeah, I just don't buy the story, and the term racism is, it needs to be retired at this point. It's not useful in any way. It's been misused to the point of absurdity. And also, you talk about ignoring, you ignore the lion's share of the issue here, which is the racism of people of color towards white people. That's the problem. It's their inferiority complex, not our superiority one.
Whenever it rises up. In the description, I'm going to leave a link to a charity, an organization called Campaign Zero. They are dedicated to ending police violence in America.
And I'm sure they have no political bias there. I'm sure they have integrity. Do they have as much integrity as the Innocence Project? Because if you have criticism for the Innocence Project, it kind of makes me question, are you in favor of innocence? They're the Innocence Project. But don't worry about whether or not that charity, quote unquote, is a good thing or a bad thing. Trust Downs Keanu. He knows.
Or at the very least, ensure that justice is always served when it is due. I will be making a contribution to this charity, and I encourage you to do the same. Or
I will make a contribution to that charity as well, and here it is.
Or contribute to many of the other causes that people are linking on social media, on Twitter, on various other sites, or other YouTube videos. There are many ways that you can help, even at the most basic of just letting people know that this is not okay.
It's not okay to put a knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes and kill them? You learn something new every day.
That we do not stand for this, making your voice heard. You can make a contribution to a charity, or you can spread the message about it and demand change be made from it. We are all in this together, whether we like it or not.
I think a lot of us don't.
We're all part of the same country.
You can move countries. I'm in Rio de Janeiro right now.
We're all part of the same world.
World. In a world. Does this guy really talk like this?
Part of the same world.
We're all part of the same world.
And we need to start looking out for each other. Black lives matter. And right now, we need to fight this injustice.
Nah, fuck that noise. White lives matter. Twice as many white people are killed. Black people kill white people 93% of the time when it comes to interracial violence. More white people are being killed than blacks. Fuck your mother. You're focusing on the wrong thing. You're a chump. You're a lemming. You have no conception of how stupid you are. And that's why you don't even have 25,000 subs, because no one likes you. Get on my level, bitch. Bye!
For relaxing times, make it Suntory time.
Cutto, 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 cutto!